There's a lot of cards like that that would be perfect if all the other cards didn't exist.
Right.
All right, everybody, welcome back to round 3 of Lost Legion's
Paper Tiger beat. Was that Scissors?
And then, of course, the game of rock, paper, scissors, as Garrett mentioned, the Scissors Lizard getting the job done and winning the play for James Ferris. Like I was saying, this is round 3 coverage of Friday Night Magic from Lost Legion Games and Comics here in South Charleston, West Virginia. My name is Zach Evans. That voice was Garrett Meadows, and we are watching on the left James Ferris, who is
James Ferris.
Well, he's 1-0-1. He's in the draw bracket, and he's playing as I mentioned earlier, an American Flash type deck. This is his home.
He's just playing blue, white, red, but he likes to flash people while he plays them.
He's playing his own deck, so it is American in color. So we'll see exactly what cards are in there. And then his opponent is Mitchell Estep, who is on 2 wins, and he is playing a junk mid-range deck. Which, if you watched him play the last time he was here, which I think was about a month ago, he says it's the exact same 75. So.
Oh, the Ambush Viper deck.
I believe there's Ambush Vipers in it.
Yes.
I love Ambush Viper. Like, I understand it's one of those cards that Ambush Viper is a perfect example of a card that, when Mitchell Estep plays it on our stream, everybody's like, why the crap is he playing that card? But if Jerry Thompson played it next week at the SCG tournament, it'd be like, sick deck from Jerry Thompson.
Right.
It's a very good answer to a lot of cards that are tough to do.
Jeff Hooglin was playing it.
Well, it's not a burning inquiry, or it's not a burning wish target, so Jeff Hooglin wouldn't be playing it.
Right.
But yeah, it answers a lot of cards that are pretty tough to deal with. It kills a Geist of St. Trapt and an Obsidat. It's pretty, I don't know.
It does kill an Obsidat.
It's basically an edict.
Right.
I mean, sometimes it attacks for 2.
Right. I like my Ambush Vipers to get my instants or sorceries flashback, though.
So we're into the game here. James on the play with the tapped Hallowed Fountain. Mitch answers with the same.
Burning Wish is the only wish you can beard unless you're playing High Tide.
Well, Living Wish is gaining a lot of traction lately, but...
is that the green-white one?
It's the green one, yeah. Glittering Wish is the one you're thinking about. That's the modern legal one.
Yep.
And there is an on-curve Boris Reckoner. Now, Ambush Viper not as good against him, because you can first strike it.
Right.
Of course, there are other cards in Mitch's deck other than Ambush Viper, but...
Well, if he goes to first strike it, he can respond by playing Ambush Viper.
Flash in a second Ambush Viper. Mid blocks for no value.
Just so he can kill the other.
Still had all these Ambush Vipers. So no play from Mitch. So James is going to be able to get in with his...
Takes 2.
With his Reckoner.
So he's obviously got
Angel.
an Angel here. Or whatever trick that Mitch has. Mitch has the Abrupt Decay. He does not.
Oh, he's playing Wolfear Avenger.
Okay.
Yeah, Wolfear Avenger sees play in the Kibler Ooze deck as well. It blocks things, it regenerates. It's perfectly
very
fine
bad against Boris Reckoner, but
well, it's not good.
In a lot of board states, it's very good.
You can attack with it just the same, but it's not good. It's not a good defensive creature.
You'd have to double regenerate it because it would first strike, kill it.
It's a very bad wall.
Oh no, you don't have to regenerate it once because then it's taken out of combat and it wouldn't deal its damage to the Boris Reckoner.
So you don't get a trigger. So
the Reckoner wouldn't trigger. So it's
here comes this thing. So Mitch running into the Restoration Angel here, blinking the Reckoner. It's interesting that he chose not to block with the Reckoner.
Right.
If you're going to single block, I would block with the Reckoner, I figure. Oh wait, no, he's tapped out. I'm an idiot. I'm very bad at Magic. Everyone should ignore everything I say.
Well,
that of course assumes people were listening in the first place, which we all know is a flawed assumption. So Mitch will in fact regenerate his Wolfear Avenger, saving it for future avenging. But he does eat 6 damage, down to 9 life. Mitch does suffer from the camera curse. A lot of... I don't think Mitch has ever won on camera. He may have, but I just don't remember it, so...
Fun, unrelated fact. Mitch's homie, Mike Miller, the guy that usually shows up to play with Mitch. Got me round 1 with the turn 3 acidic slime into Clone Restoration Angel.
I'm sorry. As we say, syncopate, or as Adam Vickers calls it,
Syncopate.
Syncopate, taking out Soren, Lord of Innistrad. And since you can't really effectively block that, then might as well get in with the Avenger. And
did you show him a Restoration Angel or a Searing Spear?
I don't know if he did or not, but
or he just
Mitch
stared
deciding
down really, really harshly.
Mitch deciding he had enough. Well, these guys shuffle up and move to Game 2. Remind everyone that if you want to win your own playset of rock, paper, scissors cards, which we saw these two gentlemen use to start off with their match, then head over to our Facebook page at facebook.com/ZachSellsMagic and look for the giveaway post that I made last round. It is the most recent post on the page, and you got 4 ways to enter every week. On that post, you can like, comment, or share it on your own stream, or your own Facebook stream, I should say. That is a separate entry each time, so 3 ways to enter there, and you can also enter on Facebook, as the post does appear on my Twitter stream at ZachSellsMagic, the same way it's written there. And then you retweet that, and there's 4 separate ways to enter. But remember, to be eligible to win, you must be liking the Facebook page and following me on Twitter. All of those things cost $0 and basically involve you typing in one word and clicking a button. So I really don't see how you can turn it down.
And then the live action replay over here, nothing happened. So I guess it was something verbal. There were no cards shown. It was just turn my Avenger sideways and then
see, Garrett pointing out that we've dedicated fans of the stream will remember that I've mentioned this multiple times before, but we do have an off-camera screen here, which we monitor the Twitch chat and the video stream in, and it is on a considerable delay. And forgot that we can time travel and look back. So not sure what these guys are going to be bringing in.
Uncontrolled replay. Is it giveaway time?
Well, not from last week. I do. For those of you asking who won last week's drawing, as of a week ago, we drew for that. That was C.W. Cole, who entered on Facebook. And then for those of you who want to win from last week's drawing, the ones that you entered up until earlier today, I'll be making that announcement offline tomorrow. I do the drawings on Saturdays now because it actually takes a little bit of time to compile that list of all the people who enter through 4 different ways.
You got the dog in the parking lot this
round? My running joke about when someone asks me who they're playing, I say they're playing a stray dog in the parking lot. At least the dog has a bye this round, so he doesn't have a matchup. But I do have some leftover months of Star City Premium to give away to people in the store. Like I said earlier, trying to
Max 1?
No, just trying to get some people.
Oh, that's the word, Max.
24? Who is that? 24. No, it has to be another one. He already won. Can't win both.
Yeah. Is that Chittum?
Nope. Michael Miller.
Oh, good for Mike.
So he wins a month of
obviously Karma's
Star City Premium. Be nice.
I'm very...
Garrett, I'll be honest with you. I've been a little bit down the dumps today because of this stream quality's been very poor because we cannot get the signal to work. But we used to average 150 people every week.
Right.
And the last few weeks we've averaged like 50. It's just very, at some point as we reach our 34th week of doing this, at some point I'm just like, why am I doing this? I don't know. I knew it would. I knew at some point it would stabilize as we see James send back his opening 7, but I didn't realize it would just fall through. I know we missed 2 weeks in a row.
Right.
Once due to their trip to GP Pittsburgh and once to a family emergency, but did not think it would have worked like that.
Maybe it's just the same thing that we're seeing at the store here. Like when we were getting those 150, 200 numbers whenever we had 40 plus players in the store too. So that's obviously a correlation.
Maybe. So we can hope.
Maybe once
we can hope.
DGM comes out, it'll be back to the good life, back to IHOP.
Well, let's just
FNM, all the money we make.
let's just pretend like that's what's happening, at least for our own benefit. Jay's player in the chat mentioning that since we're time traveling, we go to the new Doctor Who, which of course means the broom closet is the TARDIS. Which
I've never watched Doctor. I'm aware of what Doctor Who is.
Well, you know the police, the phone booth, the police box.
No.
The thing that they always walk in, that it always shows up like an old London downtown police box, which is basically a phone to call the police, a phone booth. That's called a TARDIS.
Okay.
It's an acronym, and I do not know what it is.
You're a TARDIS.
Well, I can't argue with that, but...
What's worse, being a TARDIS
interesting pop culture, or at least the breaking news coverage, as Evilbeard reminds us that the real world exists. Apparently they caught the Boston bombing suspect.
Did they kill this one too?
No, they caught this one.
Oh.
Well, the other one had a bomb. The other one was shooting at them, throwing bombs, and had bombs strapped to him. So, probably well within their right to shoot him.
I just imagine, like, the Bomberman bombs. He's just lighting the fuse.
Oh, man.
Shot putting them over the wall.
Well,
it's not funny because it's tragic, but...
They were literally, as I didn't read the... I know this is way off topic, but watching that, I was very intrigued by the whole thing. What's very interesting is
tweeted that he was in custody?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've been using the social media a lot. To be quite fair, the only reason they had so many pictures of them is because people had been sending in pictures they had taken in that area, and then they had brought in like FBI
analysts.
Yeah, that only look at pictures, and they found. I mean, they had millions of pictures of the guy. They released those at like 5:30 yesterday afternoon, and they had that one guy in like midnight.
Yeah.
It's amazing how social media works.
Right.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, the two of us are sitting in here with just a couple $100 investment. We have the technology of doing this live TV. It's basically a TV show.
Right.
If you want to get right down to it. So we live in a magical modern land of technologies.
Oh, tell the story about the giant guy in the picture. When the GP played Death and Taxes.
Oh, Michael Bond?
Michael Bond, yeah.
I think I mentioned that last week. I'll mention it here when we get done with this game. But so these guys have in fact shuffled up. We're on game 2.
Mitch has no black. Mitch has black.
Thanks for that breaking news, Garrett. Now we'll move to James' turn. I know James did shuffle at least back to 6. He might have gone down to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think he is on 5. No Reckoner this game. And here we see the same turn 3
Avenger.
Wolfear Avenger that's going to get Syncopate. I think Mitch would be pretty ecstatic that James is burning his counter magic on a Wolfear Avenger.
He doesn't have the Soren to follow it up, which is just a big play. I know he runs for Ascos.
Is he playing Loxodon Smiter?
He might be. Wouldn't put it past him.
And I'm sure his top end involves Thragtusk.
What is that card?
That is a card called Boros Reckoner.
Oh.
I'm not sure if you've ever seen that in play.
I couldn't see it from this angle.
Oh, I thought you were making a joke. That is Boros Reckoner.
Maybe I could see it better if I was shooting the face, but...
Mm-hmm. There is, in fact, Thragtusk. It is going to resolve as James only has a white...
Flip-flop retreat doesn't give you a lot of answers.
White or red mana. Mana Tithe not playable. Not legal, I should say. It'd be interesting if Mana Tithe was legal, which is, of course, a 1-mana white counterspell.
Uh-huh.
Or Force Spike, if you know what Force Spike is.
We're going to clone the Thragtusk.
Clone the Thragtusk. Was it last week that we had the 14 Thragtusk game?
Yes.
I mean, it feels like it's forever ago because it feels like I'm still in that game.
Right.
That round, they played 2 games and it took an hour and 5 minutes. That video I posted for that round was an hour and 5 minutes long. Of course, that was last week's semifinal round where, over the course of one game, players resolved 14 separate Thragtusks. And that is a Desecration Demon.
Okay.
Desecration Demon is one of those cards that...
it was very big at Return Around week 1.
It's just, it seems, I think, a lot better than it is because there are a lot of decks that can create a board state where it never gets to attack.
Right.
But It's just one of those cards that if it was printed like even 5 years ago, it would be amazing. But it's very tough for it to be good in a Lingering Souls environment, for sure, as well as for Thragtusk.
Right.
But it'll be interesting to see after rotation how it does. So James, is he serving in with both here, or is it just the Reckoner? He kind of pushed both cards.
The clone isn't vigilant, so I don't know why he wouldn't. I guess you'd fear the Searing Spirit, which is also
he might just be wanting to save it so that he can sack the. Because the demon will eat it, and he loses one sack ability, so he might just be saving it to sack it twice to the demon.
Follow the Archangel.
And there's a Follow the Archangel, which is very good at turning these races well in the other direction. I mean, with the 6-power flyer on board, always just gonna let him attack with it, so that's a sign of Azorius charm, right?
It's a sign he's got something. Like, you don't attack with the Reckoner. I think the attack with the Reckoner really signaled that he had the Spirit, because he could first strike the Dwarf Reckoner and then Spirit.
Maybe. That might be it. Opposite that resolves too.
So Mitch is just
Battle
up
Cruiser.
all of the haymakers.
Battle Cruiser magic, I believe they call it.
He was about to attack with the Thragtusk in the second combat phase. James kindly reminding him that's not good to happen.
So end of turn, James is going to flash in Restoration Angel, blink the clone.
And then copy the Thragtusk again.
Copy Thragtusk again. Gain 5 life, make a beast token. That's what Magic is in the year 2013. Every card is a 4-for-1, and the best spells are creatures. And I forgot to start the clock. It's been a long day, man. What do you say, 34 minutes? Sure. Why not? So James serving in with the beast token and the evasive creature, leaving back his own Thragtusk. 4 damage here. Ah!
I'm going to copy the Thragtusk one more time before it dies.
It's a good play from James there. Get the maximum amount of value. So the Thragtusk still dies. He did not blink the token. He blinked his clone. Copying the Thragtusk before it goes to the graveyard.
James has gained 15 life off his clone. And got 2
Pretty good clone.
3/3s off of it.
Mm-hmm. But he is kind of still behind here on board state.
He's facing down an Obstat, which, and a Follow the Archangel, which changes all of the math ever. This fine English brought to you by Boca High School. I think Desecration Demon is a card that you have to build around. I know Yin used to play it in his Jun deck, which paired very well with all the rest of his removal.
Mm-hmm. So here's the blocks for lining up. At the way this is, he would trade Reckoner for token.
I don't like the attack of the Obstat if we don't have another one in hand.
Or is he playing Angels?
You never know what Mitch is gonna. He could play
Surprise Ambush Viper here.
He could play and entreat the Angels next turn.
No, he's just going to activate the Vault. So he's going to gain.
That is actually the name of the new project we're working on. It's going to be on our next album.
Activate the Vault.
Activate the Vault.
Which, of course, from our Magic Purity metal band, Extort the Gravecrawler. So when all's said and done,
I'm just going to take this token.
Thragtusk guys makes a beast token. How is the Reckoner still alive?
Do you first strike it?
He must have, I guess. Yeah, because he tapped
no,
5.
He's tapped out. Oh, well, I guess he might have tapped it beforehand.
Yeah. So, Mitch way behind now on board, but he's gained a lot of life, up to 34.
And the junk midrange deck is has very good top decks. But, probably next to like the banned Tizagana deck, midrange is top decks.
Down to 19 off of that attack.
We'll play another Reckoner.
And another Reckoner makes an appearance.
No fear of merciless eviction.
And the problem is here is now the Desecration Demon's text is
6/6 flag.
well, but he's just going to sack a beast token and tap it down.
Right.
So, Mitch in quite a spot here.
So Battle Grove's not going to do it.
If only Day of Judgment was legal in this format.
Yeah, I mean,
is there any card?
I wouldn't put him past Merciless Eviction. I don't know if that's a card he would leave in. That's a card.
Sever the Bloodline. It's going to take out, conveniently, 2 of whatever he wants to take out.
Right.
2 Reckoners, it seems.
Then he will be able to flash back next turn?
Yep, but only if he survives through this turn. Which
He has no life total, so...
James... what happened there?
We go to combat, and it looks like James is pausing for him.
I mean, you let it go through this time.
I don't think he attacked you, Mitch. You forced him to take 3 power off the board. James down to 1 card?
Down to 1 card in hand. I believe Mitch also has 1 card. The key here is being able to possibly Azorius Charm to get rid of the demon. And he's just going to block with it because once Mitch gets to untap with the Vault of Archangel mana or potentially flash back
we never saw the series here.
Sever the Bloodline.
That's why we didn't sacrifice.
Mizium Mortars to finish him off. And that gets there. And then the last card in James' hand is his 3rd Boris Reckoner of the match.
We got Flashback Sever, and then we can go to 4 next turn and see what we top deck.
Yep.
See if Mitch sees it. This is the important part, actually, because he might be too high.
Come on now. So Mitch counting up his mana here. If flashback on Sever is 5 and 2 black, right?
I think it's...
He's just going to cast an Obsidian. So go up to 12. So the way that this works, and more importantly here, I think this line's better because he can now activate the vault.
Not to that. 5 and 2 black.
So blocking a beast token and activating the Vault of the Archangel. So he's going to go down to 8. Spear.
Game's looking very well off the top of his deck.
James has had a pretty good draw. Miracle Temple Garden is not going to get it done. We've said it before. Miracle Bonfire for the win. It's awesome. Miracle Temple Garden for the loss. Not nearly as entertaining. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to step outside here after these guys. We do have about a half hour left in the round.
We assume.
Huh?
We guess.
It was something like that. It's at least over 20 minutes. So I'll step outside and see if we can find another feature match for you.
Alrighty.
Garrett, feel free to interact with the chat. We'll give away some of these freebies.
We obviously didn't see Desecration Demon at its best there, but... Ew. That's what happens whenever your opponent basically gets to play 3 Thragtusks. If you wanted to name a card that was good against Desecration Demon, like, if you want to name a card that's good against Unburial Rights, you name Rest in Peace. If you want to name a card that's good against Desecration Demon, name Thragtusk, or Lingering Souls, or any of these other 2-for-1 creature cards. So, for anyone that says Desecration Demon is bad, I'm after watching this game, just take it with a grain of salt. I don't see how the scoop was premature whenever he was at 8 and he was facing down 9 power on board and had no cards in hand and no creatures on board. Like, he can flashback Sever. Well, yeah. I guess the scoop was premature because he can flashback Sever. I'm an idiot. You're right. I can try. Hamburglar, 1958. I try to cheat all the free stuff, mainly in like my favor, every now and then, but I guess I will just like extend you into the pool of me trying to get free stuff too. See if it'll work. Oh, anyone going to anything exciting this weekend? There's a TCG 5K in Columbus. There's an SCG. Is there an SCG open this week? I think it's really far away from the East Coast. Evil Beard, I feel ya. I gotta work Saturday. There just happens to be a small event in the local area Sunday, though. So I will be, I'll be heading to that. Oh, screw Justin Upple. Like, if the man wants to go to a tournament, he can go to a tournament. I'm not going to feel bad for Justin Upple for missing the tournament. Hey, Nick.
Well, no, yeah, it is fun. I went out there to find another match, give away cards, and then my wife showed up with dinner. Yay! What's funny is, like,
She didn't want to come commentate?
hey, I'm just going to be frank about it. My wife is an attractive young lady.
Yes.
And she walked in here, she is working professional, so she walked in here today and, like, just ran, and, like, I watched her come in, and everyone, you know, the effect of the any woman at the card shop.
Yes.
That was funny. So we do have another, we've got...
Started blowing and everything.
We've got, very conveniently, and sorry for the delay, as I did have to sort out that stuff, but, got another match for you here.
What do we got? Oh, I see,
Jonathan Wright.
Is that a Turner?
And Maxwell Turner. It's not his name at all. These guys are going to game 3.
Have you ever seen Jonathan's deck?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we want to talk about Max's deck?
Maxx is a bug control deck.
Max is Think Twice, Counter Spells, Liliana the Veil, Abrupt Decays, and Vraska. His big finisher is Thragtusk with Deadeye Navigator.
Yeah, the main thing is that he's playing Acidic Slime, which I think is amazing.
Also with Deadeye Navigator.
Yeah, that's just brutal. We were talking a little bit earlier as Maxx did have his... he did bring his deck in to show me earlier, and I mentioned that I love Deadeye Navigator in Commander, pairing it with Sylvan Primordial, or similar effects.
Right.
Pairing it with Acidic Slime in Standard, just as good. can't really complain with that either.
Well, the thing is, if you run it in a control shell like he is, you get the benefit of waiting till you get to, say, 8 mana. And then, not only can you play Deadeye Navigator with Counterspell backup, but you can play Deadeye Navigator. If it resolves, you get Blink backup. So if they have a removal spell for it, you blink it.
Why is, here's a question. Why is Evilbeard watching us and not playing in his own FNM?
He's got to work tomorrow at 7 a.m.
That sucks.
I don't know if that's the reason, but...
So that means Justin Upple's going to have to beat somebody else this week?
Yeah, really.
Burn!
We were actually just talking about Justin Upple.
He's a very young man that's very good at magic.
I will be right back.
All right, so Garrett's stepping out for a second. And these guys are off into game 3 here. Like I said, these players are at a game apiece. Searing Spear taking out Deathrite Shaman.
Spike Mo showing up in the chat.
Spike Mo, Tommy Moles from, actually, good to see him because he is actually from Boston. So, good to see him in good health.
You want to try refreshing this, see if it improves the choppiness or if that's...
You can do that. So Garrett here has his Liliana counterfluxed. Jonathan lands an...
I'm Garrett, by the way. That's Maxx.
I'm sorry. I've done it all night. I've done it all night. End of turn Forbidden Alchemy for Maxx. Digging for some answers here. Pretty good start from Jonathan being able to take care of Deathrite Shaman, which does a lot of work against these flash decks.
Yes.
And then the Liliana. Not that hard for them to deal with, actually, but just as good to trade a counterspell for it as opposed to Searing Spear or something like that.
Right. As you see, Curse of Death's Hold get attempted, and a Snapcaster counterflux happen for Jonathan Wright.
Jonathan is all answers all the time here. He's got Maxx on a 2-turn clock already.
If we try another Curse of Death's Hold. This one is getting Restoration Angel, bounce the Snapcaster, and Searing Spear you.
That's why you're tapped out?
No, wow, before my Snapcaster Mage dies. As the Curse of Death's Hold will
pile in for 4 now.
Well, and that'll drop him into Spear range, which surely Jonathan Wright has.
He always has it. What about Thragtuskerton? Does it resolve? I'm assuming that if the curse resolved, that the Thragtusk will also be resolving. We saw a Curse from Deathhold from Vince Smith in round 1 playing his homebrew mono black control deck. Just completely destroyed Joseph Deal. Like, he only has 4 creatures in his deck that don't die to curse.
Right.
He didn't draw all of them, so he ended up losing that one.
And another Thragtusk. We're going to see...
Loot House activation from Desolate Lighthouse. Pitches a spare land, but it does resolve again, so Maxx getting some beef on the board here. Stabilizing through the liberal use of one of my least favorite cards ever printed.
That's game. Have a nice evening.
Man. Aurelia,
This is why they play 2 Aurelius, in case anyone didn't know.
Aurelia come out of nowhere.
A 2/3 flying.
Stealing a game that I just assumed Maxx had stabilized there.
You just play all these side tests? Nah, okay.
Jonathan, in that situation, I should say, Jonathan Wright, very similar in his approach to the game to a honey badger, in that he didn't give a swear word. So congratulations to Jonathan Wright. He moves on to an undefeated. He's undefeated, right? These guys were both 2-0, weren't they?
Yes.
So surprise move from Jonathan Wright, being good at Magic and moving on to 3-0. Here goes Brandon Hart.
So we see DMH come in. That's what I'm calling him from now on.
DMH.
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 That's on my initials. That was on his backpack.
So, we'll talk a little bit more here about some...
No, I dropped.
Talk a little bit more here about some spoilers. But in the meantime, while I'm doing all this crap,
With one hand.
what cards have you gentlemen seen that have you particularly saucy?
Me first.
Garrett.
1 colorless white black, 2/1 human. whenever it enters the battlefield, look at target player's hand, choose instant or sorcery from it.
Oh, the castigate guy?
Yeah.
It's basically Tide Hollow Sculler guy, right?
Have you ever seen me play a Tide Hollow Sculler?
You play them in Legacy.
In every format I can. I wanted to put in my pod deck, but then I remembered I don't have black.
You did.
I'm just really pissed.
You get 5 color. Already 4, right?
Right.
You get 5.
Let's go back to some other cameras. We can talk about the stuff. What about you, Brandon? Is there a dragon?
There's not a dragon spoiled yet.
Yes. They will inevitably spoil one, I'm sure.
They usually do it near the end. I actually really like Ralzeric.
Yeah, he's really good. We talked about him.
I really do like it.
I don't know if I'll try to download him here shortly. But in the meantime, let's talk about some of the spoilers that I do have the cards pre-downloaded on my computer. This is Selesnya Cluestone. It's just here to represent all Cluestones, as there is a cycle for all of those cards.
I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, what do you think?
It
has received. It has received.
Is that the real art? That's not the real card.
It's
Yeah, it's the same as the charms. Charms give you a body. This gives you a card.
Yeah, so here's the backstory on this. They started with the original Ravnica, 10 years ago or 8 years ago, however long. They had the signets, and the signets were basically, I would say, pretty monumental in the history of Magic in terms of the effect that they had on the game. They started showing up in everybody's cubes, and they fixed mana so well because it fixes and accelerates.
Right.
The big difference here is that the new iteration of these cards costs 3 mana, and those cost 2.
Right.
And the difference could not be more monumental, in my opinion.
Exactly. Farsight costing 3 would suck.
Yeah, I don't want to play this card ever when Chromatic Lantern is legal.
Exactly.
And the fact that you can't cycle it for a card, that's fine, and will be good in Limited, and will be fine in Commander. But it's just not anywhere close to being as good as the signets were, and I think the mana accelerants and the mana fixing that we have in play is just much better. I can't really see this card. I don't really see this cycle card seeing any play.
No, like Borderland Ranger's still legal and no one plays it.
Well, it doesn't actually ramp your mana, though.
But it fixes.
Yeah, it fixes.
You don't gain anything. You're just like, I waste my turn 3 to...
The reason people play the crap out of Horizon Canopy in Modern and Legacy is because Horizon Canopy costs 0.
Yeah.
If this card costs 0, I would play it.
Exactly.
I would play, even if you had to pay 2. Horizon Canopy, you only have to pay 1. Yeah, I just don't really like these cards that much at all.
Plus, Horizon Canopy interacts very well. The card costs Death Wish on them.
Hamburglar in the chat's asking Brandon if you like the card that makes dragons.
I do.
Do you know? I don't have that one downloaded because it's hot garbage, but
Whoa.
it's fun. It's fine if you're playing an Is It colored token deck in Commander.
Right.
But like all the creatures you would have, like okay, you made your Augur of Bolus into a dragon, a 4/4 dragon.
Right.
It's cool, but it doesn't really have a lot of.
Kills Restoration Angel. Makes your creature survive.
Okay, you got me. You pay what? It's like 7 mana, 6
Your
mana.
Restoration Angel.
1 blue
It's a
red.
dragon.
I'm talking about the overload.
3 blue red.
Yeah.
Their Restoration.
Museum Orders kills Restoration Angel too. That's much better.
It's not a dragon.
But the card is, I don't know what it's called, but it's basically
That's what the dragon
turns all of your creatures into, they lose all their abilities and they become 4/4 flying dragons. Which is really cool, but also maybe not that strong. Another card that we can, I would argue, is both cool and strong is the aforementioned Ralzeric Planeswalker. It was one of the first spells, one of the first cards spoiled in the set.
That's not the real one.
It doesn't matter. Oh, it's not the real...
That's what I was trying to tell you.
Oh, I thought you just meant the art. Well, let's talk about something else while I go back and look for...
We can talk about his abilities.
well, his abilities are wrong. That was the thing.
Those +1 is...
Let's talk about this guy. Good grief. How have we not talked about this guy yet?
I like
the
him.
Blue Black Axe.
Yeah.
Ocean Thief. So
Yeah,
you guys...
someone talked to me, someone asked me about that earlier, and I didn't get a chance to respond. What's the rule text on him?
His rule text is Flash. If an opponent would draw a card, except the first card.
Sphinx's Revelation. I mean, that's not only good against Sphinx's Revelation, but like if that 2/1 zombie ever catches on.
Which is the Blood Scrivener, the new card that
Right.
if you're hellbent and would draw a card, you draw 2 cards.
Right.
So basically, just this card basically shuts off that card.
And that guy might even be good enough to see play in Legacy, actually. Like, that guy right there might be good enough for Legacy.
Yeah. The problem, he works very well with Brainstorm.
Yes.
The problem being is that he does cost 4 in a format where the only 4 drops that see any play are Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Yeah.
This card is awful against the unfair decks. But
Okay.
it is interesting to see how it will interact with those cards that, you know.
Do you think Esper Stoneblade could sideboard it into a Geist Trap?
No.
Okay.
I don't, but I'm not saying that I think that's right or not. I'd be very curious to see if this shows up in Legacy, because it is strong enough. I mean, like you said, like it turns Brainstorms off.
Right.
And Brainstorm is played in every good deck. And
it turns Ponder off, really, too.
Yeah. It's just a very strong card, but the mana cost is a little bit abrasive. But the fact that it does have Flash, I mean, it makes it reasonable. If this card didn't have Flash, it would not be playable.
Right.
But the fact that the decks that want to play it are also the decks that have mana open on their turn.
Turn Sylvan Library off.
Huh?
Turn Sylvan Library off.
Yeah. That'd be the most awkward rules. As if Sylvan Library didn't have enough odd rules interactions. We'll go ahead and throw this guy in there. Somebody's talking about Tajic.
Tajic is the 4-mana 2/2 indestructible that
gets +4/+4.
Have you noticed that?
+5.
Have you noticed that all the champions really blow balls?
Yes.
The Gruul one is pretty good. That's the Rurik Thar, right?
This is my favorite one.
That's the only one I'm.
Green one's really good.
The which one?
The
Valroz?
the troll.
Yeah, the Scar Stripe guy. He's pretty good. But a lot of them are just garbage.
Have you ever read the quote on the bottom of this card?
So let's first talk about the card, then we'll go to the flavor text. Tajic is a 4-drop 2/2. He's indestructible. Hooray! And he has Battalion. When Tajic and at least 2 other creatures attack, Tajic gets +5/+5 until end of turn. And what's interesting is a friend of mine on Twitter, who is a Vorthos, which is of course the Magic slang term is in it mostly for the art and the thematics and stuff like that. He's talking about this is clearly a flavor fail,
Right.
because your I'm going alone into the maze guy has Battalion.
Exactly.
It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, look at all the guys. These are all the guys in the background. They want to go in the maze so bad, but they can't. So just old Turd Ferguson gets to go in there.
But he gets Battalion with, like, Teysa and Jace.
His flavor text is, I run the maze alone, but I fight with the full might of the Legion. Good for you, buddy. I think this card is...
If I attack with him and say that I have the might of the Legion, does he get Battalion?
No.
Even if he's the only one attacking?
No, you do lose 5 friends, though. This card is awful, right?
Right.
It's a 2/2 for 4. It's indestructible. Okay, great. But, like...
2/2 beats?
When I'm playing Boros, I'm not looking for a
You're
wall.
You're playing Hellrider.
Yeah, but I'm also not looking for a card that's best feature is the fact that you can't, it can block all day.
Right.
Like, this card doesn't... If you don't have Battalion, this card is just so bad.
If you've ever played Boros, you know that you use Boros Charm to deal 4 damage to them, not make your creatures indestructible.
Oh, yeah. Or give them Double Strike.
Right.
Giving Double Strike to a 2/2 makes it the 4/4 it should have been in the first place.
Right.
Like you said, Hellrider's much better. I would argue that Firemane Avenger is way better than this as well. Restoration Angel in that same 4 slot.
Restoration Angel, yeah.
Yeah, so... I don't know.
Sublime
This guy's
Archangel.
fun. He has a bendy sword. It's pretty cool.
Right.
I like his armor. He's got a bunch of bros back there. Got the white power symbol.
Is he actually more expensive or less expensive than Sublime Archangel right now?
In terms of value?
No, like, in terms of actual monetary value.
Yeah, I think he's less expensive.
Okay. That's right. The world is right then.
Okay.
I think the Rakdos Guild Leader's pretty good. And then it fits perfectly with everything you
Who's
want
that?
to do.
The Unleash one, all your creatures with +1/+1 counters.
Oh, Exama the Blood Witch.
3 with haste and unleash.
Yeah, we
and
talked
all your
about
unleashed
that.
creatures have haste.
Did we just talk about Hellrider?
Last week. Yeah, she's not good now, but when cards rotate, she might
Right.
be good.
Yeah, well, that's the main thing. Too,
What's
especially with like Gorehouse, Chainwalker.
Right.
Here's your man.
Is that Eric?
Yeah, this card is real. This card is everything I look for in a Magic card. I mean, dead serious. Like, I don't get too excited about too many cards, but I'm very excited about this card.
Right.
So let's look at it from a piece by piece. So 4-drop and Izzet. So it's probably going to be cast on 4 most of the time, but that's perfectly fair. Almost all Planeswalkers these days the fair ones are 4, so you don't have to worry about it. It's not overcosted and undercosted. It's It's right where a Planeswalker should be. +1 ability, tap target permanent, then untap another target permanent. So what this does here is, it's very interesting because you look at the tap target permanent and you initially think, or at least I did, okay, it's the same thing, it's like a Tamiyo or a Frost Tamiyo, stuff like that,
Right.
but it doesn't have the doesn't untap clause.
Right.
So it's really not that kind of reactive card. It doesn't lock anything down. It's not defensive at all. It just, what it does is it taps down a blocker so you can plow through with damage. So it's going to slot in perfectly into these flash type decks where you tap down something, attack with your Geist. Then you also get to untap another target permanent, so you untap a land, you untap a Gilded Lotus, is the dream.
That's the dream.
You know, you get to untap a blocker, you know, if you're in that kind of situation. But no matter what, I mean, you untap a land at the worst. Like, Garruk Wildspeaker is my third favorite, maybe fourth after Liliana the Veil, but fourth favorite Planeswalker of all time. And I don't know if, I hate making a beast with it. Like,
Right.
I'm playing it just to be able to go from 4 mana to 7 mana.
Right.
It's just so good at untapping 2 lands. Being able to tap 1 land, this guy effectively costs 1. You know, there's situations in this flash decks where you can cast him on 4, untap a land, leave the spell up if you should need it or something like that.
Now you have Aurelia.
Yeah, it's pretty good spot to be in. So that's good. Now let's talk about the favorite thing that I could ever imagine doing in Magic, which is casting free lightning bolts.
Right.
Which is what this guy gets to do not once but twice, since it starts at 4 loyalty. Yeah, and it's not qualified. It's just a straight lightning bolt wherever you want to target.
Right.
For 2 mana, like I said, you can do it twice in a row. I mean, that's one thing. If you look at Liliana the Veil, as strong as she is, you couldn't edict twice. They were very careful in designing that. You couldn't edict twice.
Right.
You can, if you want to, this card can be, it's 2 lightning bolts. And there's going to be situations where it needs to be 2 lightning bolts. Very strong. Now let's get to the last part, which is the ultimate, which is -7. So you're going to have to plus it 3 times, so it's a 4-turn ultimate. You flip 5 coins, take an extra turn after this one for each coin that comes up heads. Now when this card came, well, so basically what you're looking at is you're looking at least 1 extra turn. The math on that works out to about 3%.
Right.
3% whiffing on this. Most of the time you're going to be taking 2 to 3 extra turns,
Exactly.
which if you can't win with that in a game where you've been able to, you have been under so little pressure that you were able to
It
maximize.
costs 0 mana, by the way, to do that.
Yeah, it's free to take 2 or 3 extra turns. But when this card came out, everybody's like, oh, I don't know if I like the ultimate. It seems like it's highly variant. And, you know, people are like, oh, well, he's not going to get to his ultimate that much because you're tapping. His +1 ability isn't defensive. He doesn't protect himself with it. And all I could think of, who gives a crap about his ultimate?
Right.
Like, who
Plus
gives?
one and
All you're going
-2
to do,
are so good.
you're just going to play this guy, bolt something. Next turn taps and untap something. Next turn bolt something. Next turn tap and untap. You're just gonna bounce this guy back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
Either that or you're going to bolt, play another one, bolt.
Yeah, like if you get to, and the thing is, it's like if you're in a situation where you've already so far ahead in the game that you're tapping and untapping so much that you get him to his ultimate, like you're just winning the game already. Oh. I got very surprised there because someone said, "Hello, Zach. It is Dizzy." I thought it was Diesel. I thought that's pretty good.
Alright.
But so hello to him in the chat. Yeah, and of course Kark's Thumb shot up in price because it lets you. That's more of like a commander thing. Like no one's gonna. I don't know. It's amazing to me. Like when I first got into Magic Finance, that's when they revealed Laboratory Maniac,
Right.
and then Leveler sold out. You know what Leveler did?
Yes.
It's an old card from Mirrodin that when it comes into play, you mill your entire library. So it's only good with Laboratory Maniac. So that card went from being like a 10-cent bulk card to like 50 cents or something, or $1. And it's just like, what? These cards are so bad, but I guess it doesn't matter if the combo is good or bad. It just matters if there's hype.
Right.
But
Just
I think this card is pre-selling for 35 to 40 depending on site. I don't know if it's a $35 card, but it's going to settle at like that $25 range, I think.
25, yeah.
This card is really, really good.
It is.
I mean, I don't think
it'll
it's
be
as good as
50 for the first month.
I don't think it's as good as Liliana, but I guarantee you this card is going to show up in the top 8 of the first Star City tournament,
Yes.
and it's going to maintain or not go up. It's a very strong Magic card.
I like it.
We agree. We're on board.
I mean, at worst, you play him, you get Thought-Scour, you get to untap your Thought-Scour mana. Awesome.
Untapping a land is never bad.
I mean, just...
If you had a button you could push that says, I get 1 extra mana this turn,
I was
would you not just
you know,
constantly...
quickly, running down the things that cost 1 mana that, would benefit him. It's like Thought Scour, Dispel, Pillar of Flame, Smite, Static Slip. There's a lot of good things that, at his absolute worst, his +1 gives you.
Also, a weird interaction, or a little one that I know Zach Delianco's going to be thrilled about. Untaps Door to Nothingness.
Right.
So you can put this in that weird Primal Surge deck of his and use that as your untap effect if you want to. Because this is a lot better to get there, too.
Right.
Like the cards he's currently playing to untap, not that good.
Yeah.
I guess it's pre-selling for $25.49 on a TCG player low, but still, I mean, we're talking about it's a $30-ish card.
Exactly.
I know Medina was pre-selling them for $35, and I think that's a pretty good spot for these, so. I don't know, this guy's pretty good. I did have that Exava on here, but
we can skip over that.
Did we talk about everything else? We might have talked about everything. Oh, we didn't. I brought this from last week. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but Council of the Absolute, which is basically a callback to Grand Arbiter.
Right.
Same mana cost. It's a 2/4. I believe Grand Arbiter was 2/4, wasn't it, as well? But this one, you name a card when it comes into play, so it's like that kind of Rude Halo type effect, or Nevermore. Your opponents just straight up can't cast that card, and you can cast that card for 2 mana less. So the card that everybody thinks of when this card pops up is Sphinx's Revelation.
Yes.
Which basically spell pierces theirs, effectively, and then yours are cheaper. But the problem is, I'm trying to think of a deck that has Sphinx's Revelation in it where I'm ever excited to play this card.
You know what? You can name Clone.
You could name Perilous Mirror.
You can name Clone and then play Clone, and then name Clone again. And now you get 1 mana clones.
Yeah, they are not legendary, so you can do that thing that Garrett just described if you really want to invest a lot of time and energy into getting discounts on your clone. But
it's not necessarily a hate bear. Like, I think this card might be main deckable because, like, you can name Thragtusk. Play 3 mana Thragtusks.
Not to cut you off, but just to answer C Shade's question in the chat, says just started watching tonight. Well, first of all, thanks for stopping in. Where are we located? We are in South Charleston, West Virginia, which I know is surprising because I imagine you didn't know West Virginia was a state before this. Most people don't, but that's where we are located.
I love the beach.
Oh, you're from West Virginia? I've got a cousin that lives in Richmond.
Yep.
Really? Great. I like ice cream and once lived in Saudi Arabia. Those are all a bunch of things that have nothing to do with the conversation we're having. But yeah, I don't think this card's any good. I just don't think it's any good. It does a really good job of doing what we just described. But
yeah, I don't see this ever seeing play.
Like, that's the problem with like Nevermore type things, is that they're good against decks that like absolutely have to cast that card, but against decks that win a multiple of ways, if you name the wrong thing or you name something and they just don't draw it, you know what I mean?
Blue White Humans was an archetype right at the beginning of Return to Ravnica.
It's also not a creature card, as someone pointed out in the chat. You can't even do your clone trick because it's a non-creature card.
Oh, piece.
So a card that I already labeled as garbage has already gotten it even further down the scale.
Well, I mean, like, if you turn 2 Thalia, turn 3, like, we have Sky Knight, what other do, and then turn 4 the Sky. That's a good curve, and that's better than playing, like, turn 3 Nevermore. So this card could take the Nevermore spot in the sideboards of, like, Blue X Humans decks. I think if Delver gets to be played, it might be a sideboard card. Like, especially once Restoration Angel rotates out. But
maybe. Sideboard at best, and I think that best is a very...
I think it's a very strong hate card, because you can name whatever they're going to kill it with. And I just have a 2/4 body.
Yep, that can happen.
There you go, sir.
Thank you, sir. So there's the JB.
Of course, you could also, like, if you're afraid of Supreme Verdict, you can just play Boros Chart, which also deals 4 damage to them.
Are you guys playing? You have to play, right?
Yeah, there's another round.
Okay. Why don't you guys play them? Are you playing? Hey, Are you playing red green or are you playing gem?
Red green.
Okay.
Which is